Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we are reading from Am I the Jerk? Our first post is by Toast and Crumb. Am I the jerk for canceling my brother's wedding? To make a novel short, my F27 brother, M30, met his future wife, F28 Ella, at a party 3 years ago. Honestly, we never got along, but I always tried to put up a peaceful front because my brother seemed blissfully happy with her. Ella was mean to me a lot. She would make comments about my weight, my makeup, and especially my dog. She hated animals and hated that I would bring my lab, Toast, to my parents' or my brother's house. It always just felt like something aimed to hurt me. When the two got engaged, she asked me to be her maid of honor since she has no sisters or many girlfriends, and since my brother seemed thrilled, I obliged. What I failed to realize when I accepted the role was that to her maid of honor meant planning the entire wedding. Like I was booking venues, florists, jazz band, everything. Even worse, she expected me to put my credit card down for all of it. My brother and her are not exactly well off, and since I have a well-paying job, I didn't mind holding the deposits, but it was starting to add up to a lot. Every time I asked Ella about it, she would say that it would all be paid back by her parents before the wedding. We'll flash forward to last week, about 3 weeks before the wedding, and she's unbearable to be around. She can't last more than a few sentences before snapping at anyone, so when I of course brought up the money, stuff hit the fan. I asked if she had received the updated receipt of everything owed when she exploded. She called me a whole line of terrible names, but the one that stuck out was her saying, "What do you need the money for anyway? Your sick dog is dead now." My beautiful Toasty died about a month before this after he fought the bravest battle with cancer. He was my soul dog, and I was devastated. I blinked at her and simply left the room, having no energy to even respond to something so cruel. I went back to my car, and after the 20 silent-minute drive home, I parked the car and immediately called the vendors and canceled any deposit under my card, every single one. After almost 20 calls, all that was left of her wedding was the dress and the flower arch. I texted my brother a short explanation. I told him that every vendor would be contacting him if they wished to keep their services and they were now responsible for covering everything, and that I would no longer be attending. It was a matter of minutes before my phone started to explode and I just turned it off. It's been a few days and I haven't talked to anyone but my mom, who thankfully understands where I was coming from. My brother has tried to call, but I just feel terrible, both about what I did and about what she said. I know what I did was extreme, but I also couldn't sit by and practically enable her cruelty anymore. I still can't help but feel bad for ruining my brother's big day, so I don't know, am I the jerk for this? Update. First thing asked, me paying. Ella was promised a hefty wedding budget when she was younger. Between those years and the pandemic, they had to dip into that wedding fund. In the end, Ella only got a third of what she was promised. She insisted that most of what she had to go to the dress. But she would drone on about how there were so many things the wedding wouldn't have and how it wouldn't be the wedding of their dreams. It was only like a week after that my brother came up and asked if I could cover a few costs of the wedding while Ella's parents made up the rest to pay it back. I do make a considerable amount more, and since this would buy my brother's wedding too, I agreed. Stupid, I know. Second most disgust, Ella's treatment of me. Truthfully, she played the nice and loving girlfriend well to most, especially my brother. Even I thought she turned a new leaf a few times, but it would never last. Some of the comments she made wouldn't be always outwardly mean enough for a passerby to pick up, aka my brother. Along the lines of, "Oh, are you sure you want to go out in that? Something looser might be more comfortable." Or, "I would loan you a shirt but I don't want it to stretch out." Mean girl comments. Simply put, she lost many friends over her crazy notion of them being jealous of her, even accusing them of being in love with my brother. She had 2 other bridesmaids in the wedding, but they were barely close as well. Someone said it in the comments, being stuck between seeing Snow White and not being able to see the evil queen within. That's the best way to describe her. She's beautiful, but something is rotting inside. And maybe the most asked, did they stay together? I caved and finally answered my brother last night. From what he said, they are on a break. My brother had picked up on a few instances of her acting questionably, but hoped it was wedding stress. He was fuming when he found out what she said. I do know she no longer has the ring. My brother and I's relationship is definitely going to need some repair, but I think after a long communication break and setting up better boundaries for partners and respect to siblings in the future, we should be okay. Also, yes, I did lose some money. Just as predicted, she hoped I would end up gifting the payments anyway. Ella had told my brother that she was waiting for a surprise check from her grandparents to completely pay it off. Check didn't exist. Thankfully, the no longer to be in-laws have agreed to sell the dress to pay me back for what I did lose instead of legal action. Lastly, to my boy Toast. All of your sweet comments made me cry for an embarrassing amount of time, lol. I hope I made him proud. There will never be a day I don't defend that dog with everything I have. He is being lovingly remembered, but his family and his little brother Crumb. Down in the comments, Shot Spirit replies, so many times I hear stories about someone being treated like absolute crap for no good reason. Usually those stories end with the person just taking it from their abuser and serving no justice. You're a badass though, and reading how you handled this situation was satisfying AF. The world needs more people like you. Our next post is by Live Consideration. Am I the jerk for sending my son to his father's house in ratty clothes? I have my son 50% of the time. It's the way my ex wanted, so he didn't have to pay child support. We live in the same neighborhood, so it isn't really a big deal. Our houses are only 10 blocks apart. My ex has remarried and has a stepson that is 2 years younger than our son but about the same size. The problem is that my son has been coming home wearing clothes that are more suited to a younger boy. When his clothes get dirty, instead of washing them or giving them back to me dirty, they dress him in his stepbrother's clothes. I was nice and I would wash them and send them back and dress my son in his clothes. After a few months, if this, I gave up. He wore his brand new Minecraft t-shirt over and came home with a plain t-shirt. I went over and asked for all of my son's clothes that they had. I waited while they collected everything. They brought it out to the car and said I was being a jerk because they are brothers and it is normal to share clothes. I started sending my son there in only his ratty clothes. Torn jeans, stained shirts, that sort of thing. Now they are mad because it looks like they are poor and they are having to buy him clothes. Since he has 50% custody, he is supposed to be doing that anyways. My son is happier because he has nice clothes here and there now. Our next post is by Air Significant. Am I the jerk for going home after my in-laws excluded me from dinner at a restaurant? IF26 went on a family trip with my in-laws 2 weeks ago. Mother-in-law always thought that I am a bit ignorant and backward, and that just because I come from lower-class family, compared to hers, that I have no etiquette. After we arrived to the hotel, they arranged to visit a fancy restaurant for dinner. My husband avoided telling me, and I learned it last minute after he had already got dressed. I asked where he was going, and he said he and family were going to eat out, but I wasn't invited, because his mom assumed that since I wouldn't be familiar with the food and how to eat it there at the restaurant, then it's better for me to stay in and eat at the hotel. I didn't argue, I just let him go. Then I packed and took the first flight home. He freaked out and called many times, and when he found out that I went home, he blew up and called me ridiculous and irrational to do this. Even said that I acted in an ungrateful manner and embarrassed him in front of his family after he literally begged to have me go on the trip. We argued, and he started giving me the silent treatment after he came home. Moreover, his family are indirectly criticizing me on Facebook about what I did. Did I overreact? Edit 1. He didn't even mention what type of food they ordered. Edit 2. The family didn't plan on having me come along, but my husband, like he said, begged them to invite me. This isn't just with me, my Bill's girlfriend wasn't invited as well. Edit 3. They paid for my expenses, so I didn't want to act like I'm being needy or something. Down in the comments, Dry Promotion says it best, what the hell did I just read? The only response should be, not the jerk. Your husband is a massive jerk for not standing up for you, for going behind your back to a meal in a group vacation, for being surprised and upset that you left that vacation to go home, and is now giving you the silent treatment? Honey, I have never said this to a post as it is just a snapshot of a relationship, but this relationship is toxic. You need to leave and not look back. He is never going to support you or choose you over his family. WTF, you are so low class you can't eat at a nice restaurant? What does that even mean? Our next post is by Equivalent Tree. Am I the jerk for telling my depressed brother he only has himself to blame for our parents not wanting to talk to him? My M34 younger brother Matt, M31, was engaged to this woman Emma, F30, for the past year. Everyone in our family, my sister, parents, and myself thought they were a perfect match. Emma was very polite, well-educated, had a great family, whom we had met a few times, and was head over heels for Matt. Fast forward to 3 months ago, and Emma finds out Matt cheated on her with this other woman, Cindy, F25. Needless to say, the marriage has been called off, and everyone has been beyond angry with Matt. Our parents haven't spoken to Matt since the fallout of what's happened, and even I have only spoken to him twice, each call lasting less than 5 minutes since then. Our sister has also not spoken with him either. This morning, I received a call from Matt saying that he wanted to reconcile with the family. He mentioned how upset and depressed he's been since making the worst mistake of his life, and how much he regrets his actions. I was listening up until this point, but got annoyed when he started mentioning how also Cindy wants to meet our parents and the rest of us. He told me that he left our parents a voicemail a few days ago, but they haven't responded, and that he feels isolated from our family. I point blank told him that he only had himself to blame for this, and that he clearly didn't think what he did was a mistake, since he was still with Cindy. He said he just wanted us to give them a chance, but I told him I had to go to work, and left the call while he was finishing a sentence, as I was very frustrated with him. Am I the jerk? Update. More context. For everyone suggesting that Matt found his true love in Cindy. That's questionable from my perspective. He still claims his current relationship with her is a mistake, and I'm fairly certain he has said as much to her in the past. Update 2. After reading some of the comments and doing some self-reflection, I have decided to reach out to my brother. It's true, he's done something terrible, and there is simply no other way of seeing it. However, despite the disappointment, I still do feel that I have a responsibility towards him at this low point in his life, especially considering that my parents and sister probably won't be reaching out to him. I called him. The call lasted about 20 minutes, and offered to meet him in person, which did seem to cheer him quite a bit. I, however, made it abundantly clear to him that I have no interest in meeting Cindy. At this point, he said something that confirmed my suspicions on what he thinks of Cindy, but was still pretty surprising to hear him say. He told me that he's open to the idea of dumping Cindy if it helps build back his relationship with our parents and sister. When I asked him if he was sure about that, he said that she was small time, and that she knew the risks of getting into a relationship with him, so her feelings would be on her. This whole situation sucks, and I don't even know what to feel or think about it anymore. Boy OD responds in the comments, kinda hard for it to be the worst mistake of his life when he is currently dating part of the mistake, not the jerk. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.